Chapter 81 Receive the Reward, 3 Great Immortal Goo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a lively discussion, Tang San and the others started making arrangements for Douluo's funeral. Ye Ming, claiming he needed to recover from his injuries, went back to his courtyard. He knew there was a 10,000-year-old soul bone in Douluo's skull, but he wasn't interested. Douluo's body was saturated with toxins, and that soul bone would be, too. Besides, a head bone was the most important of the 6, and he wouldn't risk absorbing one that was contaminated. After double-checking to make sure he wouldn't be disturbed, Ye Ming locked the door and focused his mind on the system. System, give me the reward, ding. Tianyuan and the fairy goo have been deposited in your system storage. Ye Ming's eyes locked on 3 strangely shaped goo worms that appeared before him. The most beautiful was the fairy goo, Tianyuan. It was a delicate green butterfly. Each wing beat released a vibrant green light, like jade dust, breathtakingly lovely. Tianyuan was one of the 4 mobile immortal goo. In 3 breaths, it could take someone anywhere in the world they wanted to go, but you had to have a clear image of the place in your mind. If the location had changed too much, Tianyuan goo wouldn't work. It ate immortal essence. 1 dose of Qingtu immortal essence would keep it alive for 6 years without using its power. Ye Ming reached out, and Tianyuan landed on his fingertip. He activated his true essence and refined it instantly. Then he let Tianyuan fly to his right shoulder and settle there. His current aperture was too weak to handle the power of an immortal goo. If he tried to take it in, it would definitely shatter. So, for now, he'd have to keep it outside his body. Today, I'll take flight. Tomorrow, I'll soar to the immortal world and challenge the phoenix. Ye Ming chuckled and looked at the second-rank 6 immortal goo, the spring and autumn cicada. If the moonlight goo was a blue, moon-shaped crystal, this cicada looked like a masterpiece carved from palm wood and leaves. Its head and abdomen were brownish-yellow with tree-ring patterns that seemed to whisper tales of the ages. Its wings were broad and translucent, like overlapping leaves. Veins ran across them, mirroring each other, like the intricate network of a leaf, a thick stem branching into a mesh of smaller veins. The spring and autumn cicada pulsed with life, its body gleaming with a warm, oily sheen, like a polished floor. Its wings were a tender green, like freshly sprouted leaves. The spring and autumn cicada had only one function, to travel back through time to a previous point, basically, rebirth. However, to activate the spring and autumn cicada, the goo master had to self-destruct to power it, and even then, rebirth was far from guaranteed. Even if it worked, your luck would steadily decline. Ye Ming's only comfort was that the spring and autumn cicada could draw nutrients from the river of time, so he didn't have to worry about feeding it. The cold wind howls in the desolate valley, the spring and autumn cicada sings, and the young man returns, Ye Ming said with a smile. After refining the spring and autumn cicada, he let it fly to his head and settle there. The last fairy goo was a black snake, the size of his palm. This was the 6th turn soul purification goo, an aid for soul path goo immortals to refine their souls and remove impurities. But overusing it could strip away the soul's essence. Seeing this goo worm, Ye Ming was as thrilled as he was with the spring and autumn cicada and Tianyuan. Right now, this fairy goo was the most helpful. His soul, strengthened by the Danghun Mountain gallstone goo and the Red King's soul, was a little bloated, and the soul purification goo's soul refining abilities were exactly what he needed. Besides, this soul purification goo was the core goo worm of a killer move he knew well. That killer move was a power attack called Wanwo. Ye Ming activated his true essence and instantly refined the soul purification goo. Since immortal goo couldn't be stored in mortal apertures, Ye Ming had to carry it with him. He thought about it and decided to let the soul purification goo snake wrap around his right wrist. Feeding the soul purification immortal goo was a problem. Each feeding required the flesh and blood of the white lotus giant silkworm goo, found thousands of miles away. There probably aren't any white lotus giant silkworm goo in the Douluo world. I'll have to figure out if it can eat anything else. At least these 3 goo worms aren't starving right now, so they can last a while. Ding! The mastery of refining path skill has been unlocked. A wave of information flooded his mind. Ye Ming closed his eyes, focusing on this new understanding. With his strengthened soul, absorbing the knowledge was easy. without any headaches, countless refining techniques rushed through his mind, and he was completely immersed in the art of refining. After a long while, Ye Ming opened his eyes. My old goo refining technique was total garbage, that he thought he was a refining genius, especially since his success rate was pretty good, but now, after learning from a master of refining, he realized how awful his old techniques were. At his previous level, he'd probably kill a black pig goo while trying to refine it. Even brainless stone people were better at it. He summoned the damaged rank 2 Phantom Follower goo, which was still in the process of being refined. The Phantom Follower goo had recovered enough to continue refining. The refining master's knowledge included not just refining techniques, but also a deep understanding of goo worms. After all, how could you refine goo worms if you didn't understand them? He tossed the Phantom Follower goo into the air, where it bloomed with a ball of white light. With a flick of his finger, he added materials to it like flowing water. Ye Ming moved with practiced ease, as if he'd done this thousands of times. Soon, a goo worm with a stronger presence emerged, a rank 3 goo worm. He didn't stop there. With deft movements, he refined the goo worm again. He was confident in his abilities. After absorbing the refining master's wisdom, his refining skills had skyrocketed. Shortly after, the rank 4 Phantom Follower goo was successfully upgraded. Now, he only had one rank 3 Heavenly Yuanbao Lotus left. But he couldn't refine it right now because he lacked the Yuanquan material. He put the goo worm into the empty aperture, sat cross-legged on the bed, and began to cultivate. His body could now handle the power of the rank 5 Power Goo Worm and the Thunder Dragon Power Goo. Pope's Palace, the Pope's private chambers. Bibi Dong, who was meditating, slowly opened her eyes. If someone were there, they'd be shocked to see that her eyes were completely blood-red, as if about to drip with blood. Her hands and fingers had 5-inch black nails, which stood out sharply against her pale skin. Behind her, a vague black shadow appeared. Taking a deep breath, Bibi Dong unleashed a surge of black and purple light. The changes in her body faded, and she returned to her original appearance, though her face was still pale. Soon, very soon. Qian Daolu, ever since I devoured your son's body and soul, changed my cultivation method, and entered the Rakshasa secret realm, you haven't been able to see through me. In a few years, I'll break through the final step. Then, nothing will stop me. Your son destroyed me, and I will destroy everything about your angel family. Ha 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 ha. The chilling laughter echoed in the chamber, and the huge black shadow behind her pulsed in time with her laughter. After finishing her daily cultivation, Bibi Dong composed herself, left the chamber, and entered the Pope's hall. She sat on the Pope's throne, resting her face in her hands, thinking about her plans. A moment later, Yu Guan and Gui Mei burst into the hall, each carrying a bloodied figure. They knelt, stricken, and cried out. Your Highness, please help us. The young master's plan failed. She's been severely injured and is near death. What? Bibi Dong cried out, slamming her fist on the Pope's chair, shattering it. She floated down in front of Qian Renxue. Seeing Qian Renshue's condition, her anger surged. Why aren't you summoning the best healing soul masters? Get the elder here, now. Who dared to hurt her? I'll kill them. Her earlier arrogance vanished instantly. Seeing her daughter so badly hurt, she was consumed by anger and heartache. Sensing Bibi Dong's fury, Gui Mei and Yu Guan activated their martial soul true bodies to boost their speed and race to find the healing soul masters and the elder. Bibi Dong cradled Qian Renxue, not caring that the blood was staining her robes. She used her soul power to stabilize her injuries. The thorny porpoise Douluo, with a huge gash on his waist, was completely ignored. The next morning, Ye Ming felt his inner essence had grown stronger. Maybe I can reach the 4th turn middle level soon. Knock, knock. Someone was at the door. Ye Ming opened it to find Tang San, dressed in blue. Brother San, what brings you here? Come on in, Ye Ming said, smiling. Tang San waved a hand. Looks like you're doing better. Good. I came to tell you that Emperor Shui has summoned us both to the palace. He has something to tell us. He grinned. He's probably going to reward us. Ye Ming nodded, thinking, the vast sea universe cover is finally coming. Shall we go now? He asked. Tang San nodded. Together, they left Shrek Academy and headed for the Tianyuan Palace. Chapter 82 Sea God's Token, Vast Sea Universe Cover. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the way to the palace, Tang San eyed the green butterfly perched on Ye Ming's shoulder, curiosity piqued. That butterfly can keep up with our speed? It's definitely something special. What kind of butterfly is it anyway? I've never seen anything like it. Back in his Tang sect days, he'd studied every creepy crawly and shoo to perfect his poisons. And even in this life, he hadn't encountered a butterfly-type soul beast in any of the usual haunts. He knew it wasn't ordinary, but it wasn't exactly a soul beast either. It reminded him a little of the 9-section jade snake he'd gotten from Douluo. Oh, you mean this little guy? Ye Ming said, not breaking stride. I found it in a valley behind the Haotian sect. Seemed smart, kinda magical, so I brought it along and started feeding it. Found its name in some old Haotian sect books, Voss Mud Butterfly. Just call her Little Mud. Ah! Tang San's eyes widened. A treasure from ancient texts, huh? He watched the butterfly scatter tiny, glowing specks with its wings. Mud butterfly, truly something else. Yeah, mud butterfly. They arrived at the Tianyuan Palace. Security was tighter than ever. Those 2,000 soul masters trained by Yu Shaojiang from Shrek Academy were all on duty, with at least 200 patrolling Emperor Shuiye's chambers alone. Ning Fengji, leader of the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect, was waiting for them outside the palace. Uncle Ning, you shouldn't have waited out here for us. Tang San looked touched. Ning Fengji smiled, waving it off. He stepped forward, admiration written all over his face as he regarded them. Ye Ming's single-handed victory, forcing Snake Spear Douluo's self-destruction and seriously wounding Qian Renshue and Thorny Porpoise Douluo, had truly impressed him. Such a young, powerful genius. Ning Fengji was eager to connect. Even though Ye Ming was just a soul emperor, his strength clearly rivaled a titled Douluo. You two sect leaders, please watch over Rongrong and Oscar during this Sea God Island trip. When you get back, you'll be key in our fight against the Spirit Hull. Ning Fengji said, his expression turning serious. But remember, your lives are more important than power. If things get too tough, don't hesitate to give up the goal and come back alive. He looked at both of them, his gaze lingering on Ye Ming. He'd had his worries before, but knowing Ye Ming's strength, he was now thrilled his daughter and son-in-law were on this big ship. Tang San was a genius among geniuses, but his cousin was even bolder. The Haotian twins had once been famous across the continent. It looked like the Haotian sect was about to produce another pair of legends. Ning Fengji knew Ye Ming's future was boundless. If Ning Rongrong wasn't already with Oscar, he would have tried to marry her off to Ye Ming in a heartbeat, solidifying their connection. Tang San, knowing Ning Fengji's sincere concern, quickly nodded. Ye Ming agreed, we're partners, taking care of each other is what we do. Ning Fengji smiled and led them toward Emperor Shuiye's chambers to request an audience. Soon, the guards relayed the message and they were admitted. Inside, besides Emperor Shuiye, were Prince Xuexing and the new crown prince, the 4th Prince Xuebeng. Prince Xuexing looked smug, his old arrogance gone. Xuebeng's transformation was even more dramatic. He stood respectfully beside Emperor Shuiye, hands clasped, the playboy image completely shed. Qian Renshue hid well as Xuexinghe, but Xuebeng and Prince Xuexing had concealed their true selves even better. They were the real winners of this Tianyuan Palace coup. Qian Renshue had eliminated all the princes but Xuebeng. When Emperor Shuiye died, Xuebeng would take the throne. Emperor Shuiye looked surprisingly healthy, with a good complexion. Your Majesty, Ning Fengji, and the other two bowed. Please, be seated. Emperor Shuiye smiled. After the usual greetings, Emperor Shuiye asked Xuebeng to formally acknowledge Tang San and Ye Ming as his mentors, clearly intending to bind them to the Tianyuan Empire. Tang San, leader of the Tang sect, created powerful weapons. And Tang Ye Ming led the Haotian sect. Even if the sect was declining, his own power was immense. Emperor Shuiye's move was for the empire's sake, and to prepare for his own passing. Ye Ming remained neutral, but Tang San hesitated. Ning Fengji urged, Sect leader Tang, His Highness is sincere. just accept." Hearing Ning Fengji, Tang San relented, letting Shui Beng perform the 3 bows. Seeing it done, Emperor Shui assumed a formal tone. "Tang San, leader of the Tang sect, step forward." "Here." Tang San started to kneel, but Shui Beng stopped him. Confused, he heard the emperor say, "I appoint Tang San Grand Tutor to the Crown Prince, exempting him from formal greetings. I confer upon him the title of King, Lan Hao. Within the empire, he outranks all officials by 3 levels." A servant approached Tang San with a brocade tray covered in red cloth. Emperor Shui smiled. "King Lan Hao, take a look. It's the symbol of your new title." Ye Ming narrowed his eyes, studying the tray. When Tang San lifted the cloth, a crystal jade pendant glowed. He picked it up. Blue silver grass and a Haotian hammer were etched on the front, and the words Lan Hao on the back. Ye Ming's heart skipped a beat. Not the vast sea cosmos cover. This is the Lianyi soul jade pendant. A kind of soul tool, with vast storage space and the ability to nourish the soul. It will represent King Lan Hao. Emperor Shui smiled slightly. "I hope it helps you on your journey." Tang San nodded, "Thank you, Your Majesty." He didn't really want Emperor Shui's gift, but he had to accept it. Even though he didn't fully understand the emperor's motives, he knew refusing would mean rejecting an alliance. Emperor Shui probably wanted it that way. Now, Tang Ye Ming, Haotian sect leader, stepped forward. Emperor Shui continued. A wave of sadness rippled through the room. In its prime, even Emperor Shui would have feared the Haotian sect. How times had changed. Ye Ming wasn't thinking about that. He just wanted the vast sea cosmos cover for study. "I appoint Tang Ye Ming Grand Tutor to the Crown Prince, exempting him from formal greetings. I confer upon him the title of King, Haotian. Within the empire, he outranks all officials by 3 levels." Emperor Shui gestured, and a servant presented Ye Ming with a brocade tray. Ye Ming lifted the cloth, and the whole palace was bathed in a bright, ethereal light. On the tray rested a strange, crystalline blue, triangular object. It looked like it was carved from sapphire, palm-sized. The blue light pulsed with energy, rippling lines flowed across its surface. These weren't carvings, but alive, flashing circles of blue light. Even Ning Fengji looked envious. Emperor Shui felt a pang of regret. If the empire weren't in danger, he would never give away this national treasure. Tang Yeming's youth, strength, and talent were impressive, but not what truly mattered. It was the name Haotian sect. Tang San, now leader of the Tang sect, was still a disciple of Haotian. Naming Tang Yeming King Haotian was a way to bring the Haotian sect and Tang San closer. A fated camel is still bigger than a horse. Even with only 2 disciples, Emperor Shui believed the Haotian sect's reputation for powerful offensive skills would be restored. Haotian sect, among the top 3, would rise again. This is the vast sea cosmos cover, a type of soul tool. It will represent King Haotian, Emperor Shui said. It has many uses which King Haotian will understand when he channels his soul power. Thank you, Your Majesty. Ye Ming took the vast sea cosmos cover and bowed. They left the palace. Ning Fengji returned to the 7 Treasures glazed tile sect, and Ye Ming and Tang San went back to Shrek Academy. Back at the academy, Tang San weighed the jade pendant, impressed. This storage space is huge. It could probably hold several large ships. He asked curiously, Brother Ye Ming, what does your treasure do? Not sure, let's see. Ye Ming took out the vast sea cosmos cover, bathing the room in an ocean-like blue. This was the sea god's token. It granted water avoidance, invisibility, defense, and more. Most importantly, if he could get it to accept him, he'd have a shot at inheriting the sea god throne after passing the test on Sea God Island. The sea god was only a first-level god, but it was the only divine position Ye Ming could reach right now. He focused, pouring a stream of mental energy into the vast sea cosmos cover. His heart leaped. Chapter 83. It turns out to be a bound equipment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ye Ming channeled his spiritual energy into the vast expanse of the world, only to find nothing there. No Poseidon answered, no spirit creature recognized him. His heart sank. He withdrew his energy and examined the vast sea universe cover in his hand. his expression shifting. "Bro, what's up?" Tang San asked, sensing something was off. "Nothing," Ye Ming chuckled, handing the cover to Tang San. "Here, try focusing your energy into it. See if you find anything." Tang San took the cover, a little confused. Still, he trusted Ye Ming completely. Despite his doubts, he immediately released his mental energy, probing the object. The moment a trace of his energy touched it, an even stronger force erupted from the cover, instantly repelling his own. Tang San's eyes rolled back, and he stumbled. At the same time, the cover shot up and struck him squarely on the forehead. Ye Ming saw the cover's sharp point leave a small cut on Tang San's forehead. Blood trickled down, and the cover spun like it was alive, sticking to his forehead and drawing out the blood. The azure glow gradually turned crimson. Once it had absorbed enough blood, the cover dropped into Tang San's hand, all light gone, as if nothing had happened. Watching all this, and looking at the unconscious Tang San, Ye Ming felt a headache coming on. So, the vast sea universe cover is a bonding artifact, that he sighed inwardly. Understanding dawning, he knew that after Tang San acquired the killing god domain in Slaughter City, he'd come to the attention of the god of Azura. That domain was like a mark, a claim on the Azura throne. As the story's main character, Tang San was naturally favored by Azura, in the god realm. Azura and Poseidon were inexplicably linked. Ye Ming now suspected that Poseidon might have already chosen Tang San as his successor. That would explain why there was no reaction when he channeled energy into the cover. Tang San just had to offer a sliver, and the cover instantly bonded with him. Tang San's bonding with the cover didn't catch Ye Ming off guard. In fact, he'd anticipated something like this back at the Haotian sect. His closeness to Tang San was a safeguard against this very thing. Ye Ming had hoped that mastering the vast sea cosmic shield himself would render Tang San useless. He didn't necessarily need Xiao Wu's 100,000-year spirit ring anymore. Tang San's bloodline could be used to improve his own potential. Then, he could go to Poseidon Island himself and inherit the power. If the shield only recognized Tang San, as was now the case, then he'd accelerate the plan and use Tang San to become stronger. The trials on Poseidon Island would boost his strength, and there were God-given spirit rings up for grabs. He'd just have to figure out another way to claim the title of Poseidon. Looking at the unconscious Tang San, Ye Ming shook his head and chuckled. "All the immortal Gus I have are still no match for your luck and destiny." That he wasn't disappointed. No matter how strong fate was, he could break any situation with enough power. With what he had now, if Tang San slipped out of his grasp, he might as well eat a mouthful of something nasty and die. Moments later, Tang San woke up and bolted upright, clutching the cover, confusion and excitement in his eyes. "Bro, what's up with this thing? How'd it knock me out? But I feel fine, actually. My mental strength feels a lot better." Ye Ming shook his head. "No idea. Think you can channel some more energy and try again." That even though he'd passed out, Tang San felt his mental strength had grown. Without hesitation, he gripped the cover and poured his energy into it. A blue light flashed, and the triangle hovered above his palm, spinning slowly. Suddenly, he saw a flash of crimson light from the cover, and then a bolt of blue light shot into his forehead. Tang San felt a jolt as a massive flood of information surged through his mind. He felt his soul and consciousness pulled into a strange new world, an endless blue sea and sky, turbulent waves beneath him, and a cloudless sky above. Clear information flowed into his mind, each piece distinct, every incredible function of the cover engraved into his soul. After a while, Tang San stopped channeling energy. The cover dimmed and fell back into his hand, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Tang San looked at Ye Ming and said happily, "Bro, the Tiando Empire gave you an amazing gift. This thing's an artifact. The Vast Sea Universe Shield has 4 abilities: Vast Sea Protective Shield, Universe Concentrating Soul Shield, Vast Sea Raging Waves, and Universe Breaking Demons. It's incredible." He offered the cover to Ye Ming, a hint of reluctance in his heart. He felt that this artifact was made for him, but it belonged to Ye Ming, his brother, his benefactor, and he had no intention of taking it. Ye Ming saw the hesitation in Tang San's eyes and pushed the cover back. "San, artifacts choose their masters. If I'm not mistaken, I can't use this thing. So, it's yours." Guilt washed over Tang San. He looked at Ye Ming, at a loss. We're brothers. No need for the formality. Seeing Tang San's conflicted expression, Ye Ming grabbed the cover and channeled his energy into it, but the cover didn't respond at all. See? This thing was meant for you. Seeing this, Tang San accepted the cover. He took off his Lan Hao Wang jade pendant and handed it to Ye Ming, saying, "Bro, I know this isn't as good as the vast sea universe cover, but it's my gift. If you don't take it, I'd rather let the artifact gather dust than accept it." "San, you're going overboard," Ye Ming said, smiling wryly. Tang San didn't respond, just pressed the jade pendant into Ye Ming's hand. Ye Ming had no choice but to accept. Tang San smiled, looking at Ye Ming seriously, and said, "Bro, thank you." Ye Ming waved it off. "All settled. We should start getting ready for Sea God Island." Tang San nodded, his face showing some hesitation. He looked at Ye Ming and said, "Bro, I have a favor to ask. It'll probably be a few years before I get back from Sea God Island. I want to see my parents. My dad's always wanted to go back to the Haotian sect. Now that you're the leader, can you come with me and help my dad go back?" Hearing this, Ye Ming bumped Tang San's chest. "San, no need to be so formal. Your dad's my uncle, isn't he? I should be paying him a visit and inviting him back. Let's get going now. While we're at it, Rongrong and the others can say goodbye to their families." Tang San nodded firmly, his eyes full of emotion. "Okay. I'll pick up Xiao Wu and we'll leave. We'll head for Sea God Island when we get back from Sunset Forest." Ye Ming had no objection. He was also curious about the ice and fire yin-yang eyes. If possible, he wanted to upgrade his Tianyuan Baojunlian Gu to the 4th level. The next day, the Tiando Empire held a grand funeral for Douluo. The imperial family, Shrek Academy, the Chibaoyoli sect, everyone sent representatives to pay their respects. Douluo's body was cremated in the town square, and the remaining head spirit bone was given to his granddaughter, Douluo. On the 3rd day, Tang San took Xiao Wu and Ye Ming to the Sunset Forest, as the second largest gathering place for spirit beasts in the Tiando Empire. The Sunset Forest wasn't too far from Tiando City. Tang San could fly using his spirit bone skill, and Ye Ming's Thunderwing Gu was his second martial soul. They moved fast and arrived at the Sunset Forest in less than half a day. The closer they got to the forest center, the more conflicted Tang San felt. This used to be Douluo's home, and it was where his parents were recovering now. Ignoring Douluo, how was he going to tell his father about the Haotian sect? He knew he couldn't keep it from him. They were his father's blood, and he had the right to know. Tang San decided to tell them everything. Soon, they arrived at the mountain where Douluo used to live. Tang San said to Ye Ming, "Be careful, there's something special below. Ordinary people can't handle the energy." Then, he remembered Ye Ming's strength. "Never mind. With your power, you have nothing to worry about." Ye Ming smiled and followed Tang San as he jumped down the mountain. Passing through the rising mist, a dreamlike scene unfolded before them. Ye Ming spotted the extremely cold and hot springs, the ice and fire yin-yang eyes. All around this special lake, plants grew in abundance. A figure, one-legged and one-armed, stood quietly, his gentle gaze fixed on them. Seeing him, Tang San could no longer hold back. His eyes red, he pulled Xiao Wu and flew to Tang Hao. Unable to contain his emotions, he shouted with tears in his eyes. "Dad!" Chapter 84, Refining Gu on a Large Scale, Tianyuan Baojunlian. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Tang Hao's eyes welled up. Seeing Xiao Wu beside Tang San with that vacant stare, he understood everything. He patted Tang San's head. "You've been through a lot, kid." Behind Tang Hao, the blue-silver emperor flourished, its huge leaves nearly a foot wide and over 15 feet long. The golden lines on the leaves had multiplied from 1 to 3, the blue-silver grass blades waved, quickly spreading to Tang San and Xiao Wu, gently coiling around them. Feeling that intense parental love, Tang San couldn't hold back his tears any longer. Tang Hao smiled gently, the Haotian Douluo's domineering Oregon. He spoke slowly, like someone starting fresh. "Your mother's thrilled you're back. She's welcoming you." Tang San grasped Xiao Wu's hand and nodded firmly. then, Tang Hao spotted Ye Ming in the distance. He blinked, stunned, his mouth trembling slightly. "Tang Yu, is that you?" That he shook his head. "No, no. You're Tang Yu's kid, right?" Though it was a question, Tang Hao sounded sure. Ye Ming realized Tang Hao was talking about his father, whom he'd never met from the Haotian sect. "Sir, did you know my father?" "Sir. Call me Uncle Hao." Tang Hao was excited, waving his remaining hand at Ye Ming. "Good to see you. Come over here. When I left the Haotian sect, Tang Yu wasn't even married yet. Never thought his kid would be this grown up." Ye Ming walked over. As Tang Hao studied him, he took in the former Haotian Douluo. Soul bones usually fuse with the body permanently, separating only upon death. But a titled Douluo can peel off a soul bone by permanently sacrificing 10 levels of soul power. Head and torso bones are off limits. Of course, Tang Hao had shed 2 soul bones, reducing his soul power to level 75, however, the 2 soul rings he shed were the lowest, so his fighting power wasn't diminished by much. The former Haotian Douluo still packed the punch of an average titled Douluo. Ye Ming figured he was probably evenly matched with Tang Hao at this point. Tang Hao looked at Ye Ming, his heart a mix of emotions. He hadn't been back to the Haotian sect in over 20 years. Seeing Ye Ming, he caught a glimpse of his old playmates, Tang Yu, Tang Gang, Tang Shan, and those 2 punks, Tang Long and Tang Hu. They must be in their 30s now. I wonder how they're doing. It really is him, Tang Hao murmured, his lips trembling. How's your father doing? Is the sect okay? Ye Ming's face clouded over, his eyes slightly red. He turned to Tang San. Why don't you tell him, buddy? I'll go check out the herbs and find something for Xiao and I to eat. As Ye Ming walked away, Tang Hao felt a pang in his heart. He turned to Tang San. What's wrong with him? Did something happen to the sect? Man. Tang San sighed, his eyes red. After I left Yuexian, I went to the sect, and then. After Ye Ming left, he headed straight to the Yinyang Well of Ice and Fire. He found a medicinal field nearby, filled with rare herbs. Not far away stood a small cabin, clearly Dugu Bo's hideout. At the edge of the medicinal field, Ye Ming saw the herbs flourishing. Most were precious, but none had reached the fairy grade. That was obviously Tang San's handiwork. Then, he spotted an ice silkworm, the size of his palm, under a plant. He reached down and grabbed it. The soul-cleansing immortal goo's food is the 100 lotus giant silkworm goo. I wonder if this ice silkworm will help. He held out his right wrist and offered the ice silkworm to the black snake. The soul-cleansing immortal goo, shaped like a black snake, swallowed the ice silkworm in one gulp. Ye Ming sensed its state. The ice silkworm had a slight effect. About 1 million more ice silkworms would probably be enough to feed the soul-cleansing immortal goo. He turned silently and went to the Yinyang Well of Ice and Fire. Extreme cold and extreme heat rose, wisps of elemental power rising from the spring. As far as he knew, the Yinyang Well of Ice and Fire formed when the Ice Dragon King and the Fire Dragon King's bodies fell here after they were killed. The Ice Dragon King and the Fire Dragon King were originally first-level gods with terrifying divine power. After death, that power dissipated and became the raw energy of heaven and earth, so strictly speaking, the Yinyang Well of Ice and Fire was a pool of potent resources. Finding another Yuan spring in a short time is too hard. This is the last shot. The 3rd-level Tianyuan treasure lotus is useless to me. I have to refine it to the 4th level. Ye Ming glanced at Tang Hao in the distance, listening to Tang San. It seemed to be a while before they were done. He wasted no time, summoning the Tianyuan treasure lotus goo directly. With a flick of his wrist, the Tianyuan treasure lotus goo hovered a foot above the Yinyang Well of Ice and Fire, a milky white light radiating from it. Ye Ming started refining the 3rd-tier Tianyuan treasure lotus goo. Perhaps he would find a more suitable Yuan spring later, but by then, it would be too late. The refining master's insights echoed in his mind as Ye Ming's fingers flew. Countless yuanshi and materials were thrown into the ball of light. Compared to previous goo refinement, Ye Ming was now more skilled, more confident. The Master Realm was something few achieved, and the Grandmaster was far beyond that, almost legendary. The Refining Master Gu Yufang Yuan, played by Ye Ming, was a supreme refining master who became a master by refining the Tao. The spring water of the Yinyang well of ice and fire began to drop rapidly as Ye Ming's refinement reached its critical point. Tang Hao was still wrapped up in the Haotian sex tragedy and didn't notice Ye Ming by the Yinyang well of ice and fire. The milky white light trembled above the spring, sucking in vast quantities of water with each pulse. Gradually, the spring water receded rapidly, but the divine power in the Ice Dragon King and Fire Dragon King's bodies was immense, turning into the world's raw energy. When a whale dies, life springs forth. The two Dragon Kings' bodies continued to emit raw energy, replenishing the Yinyang well of ice and fire. The water level rose and fell rapidly. Only Ye Ming saw this strange scene. He knew the spring water seemed steady, but he was actually drawing on its potential. The Yinyang well of ice and fire could have lasted for tens of thousands of years, but now, at least 1,000 years of raw energy were lost. Buzz, the milky white light vibrated. Ye Ming focused, his fingers flying to complete the final step. A white lotus emerged from the light, spinning above the Yinyang well of ice and fire, releasing strands of pure Yuan force. It was a beautiful sight. Done. Fourth tier Gu Worm, Tianyuan Treasure Lotus. Ye Ming's eyes lit up, and he took the Tianyuan Treasure Lotus Gu into his first empty cavity. With the Tianyuan Treasure Lotus, his lack of true energy at the fourth tier was solved. As long as he didn't use too many killing moves, his body could continuously generate true energy to fill the sea of true energy. Ye Ming glanced at Tang Hao and saw they were still sad. Judging by Tang San's endless story, it was clearly a key moment. How could he bring himself to break up the reunion? Ye Ming got up and went toward the medicinal field, gathering herbs and insects to supplement his refinement materials. Now that he had the master-level perception of the Tao Refining Master, he didn't have to wait for system rewards for Gu worms. As long as he had the materials, he could refine many. Since coming to the Douluo Continent, he only found one jade skin Gu in ore. Wild Gu worms were rare here. This isn't the Gu world after all. Ye Ming's fingers flew, and countless herbs and insects were collected in the storage space. However, he was also a little distressed at this time. Neither his storage space nor the Lan Hao Wang jade pendant could carry living things. After these strange insects were collected in the storage space, they would die in a short time. Ye Ming had to select those strange insects that could be used as materials after death. I gotta get my hands on Tang San's Rui Baibao bag. Otherwise, these scarce materials will be wasted. Ye Ming knew Tang San put Xiao Wu's body in the Rui Baibao bag, so he wasn't giving it up any time soon, but there was time, and it would be his eventually. After gathering almost everything, Ye Ming looked at Tang Hao and his family. They were all hugging and crying. He couldn't bear to watch, so he decided to refine a new Gu worm. Ye Ming quietly flew up the mountain on the Thunder Wing Gu and found a place where the wind was strong. This time, he would make a fourth turn Wind Gu. Chapter 85 Reverse Refining Wind Chi Gu Tang San Kowtows. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ye Ming's real goal wasn't just the Wind Gu, he was after the Strength Gu. However, the only way to obtain Strength Gu was by reverse refining the Wind Gu, making the latter a necessary first step. Such Gu insect recipes were incredibly rare, even in the ancient Gu world. Fortunately, the 1-to-5 turn Gu Master Application Encyclopedia that Ye Ming had acquired contained numerous explanations and secret recipes related to Gu, and the insights of the refining masters had significantly expanded his knowledge base. Combining this knowledge, he now possessed the secret recipes for both Wind Gu and Strength Gu. Strength Gu was a Gu insect that augmented strength, capable of generating an invisible force. Its primary function allowed a Gu master's beast spirit to detach from their body and attach to this force, enabling direct attacks. When the force dissipated, the beast spirit, lacking a carrier, would dissipate as well and automatically return to the Gu master's body. Previously, Ye Ming had used his beast spirit for ranged attacks, but its effective range was limited to about 10 meters before its power waned. This distance was too short for battles between Gu masters and couldn't truly be considered a long-range attack. The Strength Gu was the key to changing that. With the strength goo, his beast spirit would no longer be limited by distance but linked only to his own strength. This would transform his beast spirit into a true long-range weapon. After reviewing the refining steps in his mind, Ye Ming retrieved a large collection of materials from his system space. He went to the vent, felt the powerful gusts of wind rushing out, and used his golden true essence to intercept a portion of that wind power. Buzz! The wind power spun, creating a milky white orb of light. Ye Ming systematically added the materials according to the recipe. His mastery of the refining Tao had greatly blessed him, increasing the success rate of refining goo worms. Buzz! The orb trembled, and a goo worm resembling a gentle breeze emerged. Ye Ming held the wind goo and immediately began the reverse refining process. Meanwhile, beside Yinyang Lake, Tang Hao was stunned by Tang San's story. They had thought that leaving the Haotian sect would be a permanent farewell. Brother Xiao, Sister Yuehua. Tang Hao's voice was hoarse as he collapsed to the ground, his eyes filled with despair. The leaves of the blue silver emperor wrapped around him, gently stroking his forehead in an attempt to comfort him. Tang San's eyes were also red and swollen, but he had already come to terms with the past and mentally prepared himself. Seeing his father's grief, Tang San looked at Tang Hao with determination and said, "Dad, Ye Ming and I will personally avenge uncle and aunt. Besides telling you this, we're also heading to See God Island to train. It's going to be dangerous. With you two elders and Ye Ming as witnesses, I want to get engaged to Xiao Wu and marry her once she recovers." Tang San pulled Xiao Wu close, his face filled with tenderness. He looked at the stunned Tang Hao and continued. "Also, Ye Ming is now the leader of the Haotian sect. He's made it possible for you to return." Hearing this, Tang Hao's eyes finally welled with tears. Ever since leaving the Haotian sect, his greatest desire was to return and honor his father. He never imagined it would happen this way. The blue-silver emperor grass leaves touched Tang Hao's eyes, bringing him back to reality. "Xiao San, you've grown up. You have your own path. Do what you need to do. I'm behind you." Just then, Ye Ming descended and walked toward the group. He had even reverse refined the strength goo, and they were still here making a scene. "Second uncle, as the leader of the Haotian sect, I formally invite you to return and serve as the supreme elder. Do you accept?" Ye Ming asked slowly. A complex expression flickered in Tang Hao's eyes. He nodded vigorously, his eyes red, and said, "Tang Hao accepts the offer." After the greetings, Tang San led Xiao Wu to Ye Ming with a smile. "Sect leader, I want to get engaged to Xiao Wu. Please do us the honor of being a witness along with my father." Ye Ming looked conflicted. "Third brother, I don't think I'm the right person." Tang San shook his head, his face resolute. "Sect leader, first, you've been incredibly kind to Xiao Wu and me. Second, you're the leader of the Haotian sect. It's only fitting that you should be our witness." Tang Hao nodded in agreement. "Sect leader, please." Seeing their insistence, Ye Ming relented. "All right. I'll be your witness." Two blue-silver emperors quietly rose, each taking Tang San and Xiao Wu's hands, entwining them together. Gentle and loving feelings filled Xiao Wu and Tang San, surrounding them completely. Tang San's body shone with blue and gold light, and 6 soul rings quietly expanded around him. The 6th soul ring flashed, sending a red light into Xiao Wu's body. Her vacant eyes suddenly regained their spark. This time, Tang San didn't suppress Xiao Wu's soul. They looked at each other and knelt before Tang Hao and Ye Ming. Tang Hao laughed, holding Tang San and Xiao Wu's overlapping hands and pulling them up. With a daughter-in-law like this, what more could a father ask for? "Xiao San, you must take care of Xiao Wu from now on. She's your fiancée." Ye Ming nodded, relieved. "Third brother, don't worry. I'll do everything I can to help you bring Xiao Wu back completely. So you can be together, forever." Tears streamed down her face. Her soul, now temporarily returned, trembled as she whispered, "Dad, Mom. Uncle." A blue-silver emperor rose and approached them with a gentle sway. A golden thread detached from a leaf and wrapped around Tang San and Xiao Wu's fingers. As if sentient, golden light flashed, transforming into slender golden rings on their fingers. At that moment, the souls of the two became intertwined by the strange golden thread, never to be separated. Tang Hao smiled at his son and daughter-in-law. This is your mother's wedding gift. I don't have any good gifts, so I can only teach you the real skills of the Haotian sect. He looked at Ye Ming. Sect leader, forgive me for interfering. Your physical abilities can just barely withstand the Great Sumera Hammer, a forbidden technique. It's time to pass it on to you. Ye Ming waved his hand. Second uncle, don't mention it. I couldn't be more grateful that you're willing to teach us. Tang Hao nodded, and the Haotian hammer, along with 7 black soul rings, slowly appeared. Watch closely. The Great Sumera Hammer is. 3 days later, Ye Ming and Tang San returned to Shrek Academy with Xiao Wu. During those 3 days, they had successfully learned the Haotian sect's top forbidden technique, the Great Sumera Hammer, from Tang Hao. With this technique, they felt much more confident about their upcoming journey to the sea. At the lakeside cottage behind the academy, the senior members of Shrek Academy, Ning Fengji of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect, and the patriarchs of the 4 single attribute sects of the Tang sect were all gathered. Facing them, the Shrek's 7 devils and Ye Ming stood ready, along with Bai Qinxiang, who had been strong-armed into the group by Bai He. Of the 9, only Xiao Wu, with her vacant eyes, seemed unaffected. The others were excited. Teachers and seniors, we must say our goodbyes now. Please stay safe. Tang San bowed to everyone and smiled at Ye Ming. Let's get going. It'll take a month for the carriage to reach the coast, giving us time to sharpen our skills along the way. No need for that. Ye Ming's eyes sparkled as he summoned something huge from his storage space. Boom! He produced a submarine-like vessel and dropped it heavily to the ground. The object was shuttle-shaped, with a dragon's head at the front and a fishtail-like rudder at the back, and 4 fin-like wings on each side. The entire vessel was milky white, like a jade carving, about 12 meters long from head to tail and 2 meters in diameter at its thickest point, capable of accommodating 12 to 15 people. It was a replica of the Soul Guidance device, the Longyuan boat. Ye Ming had the Tiando royal family collect the blueprints, and the Tang sect rushed it out. Tang San knew about the Longyuan boat and had offered a lot of advice during its construction. Seeing Ye Ming take it out now, he couldn't help but ask, "Brother, isn't that for emergencies at sea? We're not near the ocean, and the Longyuan boat can't travel underground." Tang San smiled. "Are you going to fly it over?" "Exactly. We're flying." Ye Ming smiled, and a tiny poisonous insect flew out of a special air hole. It quickly grew into a massive white bone bird. The 4th turn disposable flying poisonous insect, the footless bird. The footless bird could travel thousands of miles a day, enough to reach the vicinity of Sea God Island in a single day. Tang San and the others had planned a trip that would take over 2 months. He didn't have that kind of time to waste. After securely attaching the Longyuan boat beneath the footless bird, Ye Ming jumped onto the bird's back, ignoring the onlookers' surprised gazes, and shouted. "No time to explain. Get on board." The footless bird's back wasn't wide enough for everyone, so Ye Ming did this. Dai Mubai and the others exchanged confused glances. They couldn't believe that this strange bird could take them to Sea God Island. Among the crowd, Tang San ignored the strange looks and jumped onto the footless bird's back with Xiao Wu. Seeing this, Dai Mubai and the others squeezed into the Longyuan boat. Ye Ming activated his golden essence, and the footless bird whistled and soared into the sky. The footless bird flapped its wings and flew high. Destination, Sea God Island. Chapter 86. In an emergency, the king of killing is shrouded in murderous intent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The wind howled, and the wingless birds fluttered. Tang San sat cross-legged on its back, pulling Xiao Wu close to watch the changing scene below with curiosity. Though he could fly with his soul bone skill, this was his first time flying so high with a mount. "Brother Ye Ming, what is this thing?" Tang San shielded himself from the wind with his soul power, asking, "Even a titled Douluo couldn't match this speed, could they? If you could mass-produce this, it would be a total game-changer." Ye Ming smiled, shaking his head. It's a soul tool I found by chance. It's single use only. And I only have 2 left. Tang San didn't press him, everyone has their secrets. He himself, after all, had traveled to Douluo Continent and brought with him the secret skills of the Tang sect, the Xiantian technique, ghost shadowing, controlling cranes, capturing dragons. He could tell Ye Ming had secrets of his own. After all, no matter how gifted, it was impossible to advance from Great Soul Master to Soul Emperor in just 2 months alone. That kind of speed was enough to scare anyone. But no matter how many secrets Ye Ming kept, Tang San wouldn't be jealous, he knew. This was a brother, who was good to both him and Xiao Wu, someone he could trust, no questions asked. As Shrek Academy receded into the distance, Tang San looked ahead, excitement building within him. He squeezed Xiao Wu's hand, whispering to himself, soon, soon. Just wait a little longer, Xiao Wu, and I'll bring you back. Below, Dai Mubai and the others pressed their faces against the windows of the Longyuan boat, peering out at the passing scenery, eager to see what awaited them. Ye Ming was looking forward to it too. The vast sea barrier refuses to recognize me as its master. I wonder how much the Poseidon's assessment will be lowered. He glanced at Tang San sitting nearby, thinking, the Poseidon's residual thoughts are contained within the vast sea barrier. That's the real threat. Ye Ming unfolded the chart, his gaze fixed on the large blank space ahead, already formulating a plan. The wingless bird flew steadily, soon leaving the borders of the Tianyuan Empire and heading towards the coast. Now that Ye Ming possessed the 4th-turn heavenly Tianyuan Baojunlian, his true essence had been refined into golden true essence. He could power the wingless bird indefinitely. Thousands of miles were no problem for him. Before noon, they reached the coast. Ye Ming guided the bird towards Poseidon Island. Unlike the ever-changing landscape on land, the air grew salty and humid as soon as they reached the sea. Below stretched the endless blue ocean, mirroring the cloudless blue sky above. It was as if the world had been flipped upside down, the ocean hanging over them. The wingless bird was incredibly fast. Apart from avoiding other flying spirit beasts, they had nothing to worry about. Reputed to be the #1 flying mount below rank 5, it outstripped most of the flying spirit beasts on the continent. Ye Ming looked down, seeing only a few scattered islands amidst the deep blue expanse. In this kind of open sea, it would be easy to get lost, but he had a chart, so all he needed was a general direction. Tang San, holding Xiao Wu, looked at the ocean below, a strange feeling bubbling within him. He felt waves of heat emanating from the vast sea barrier in his arms, slowly integrating into his body. His soul power, which had been stagnant, seemed to be growing. Tang San felt like he was meant to be here. He couldn't wait to reach Poseidon Island. Brother, at this speed, how long until we reach Poseidon Island? He asked, excited. Ye Ming, resisting the wind, answered calmly, if all goes well, we'll reach the outskirts of Poseidon Island this afternoon. Tang San was about to say something when a sizzling sound came from behind. He turned to see a thick cloud of blood chasing them. At the edges of the mist, small, bloody bats fluttered. Tang San's heart skipped a beat. He felt a strong killing intent within the blood-colored mist, similar to his god of killing domain, but far more sinister, and the blood mist carried a potent corrosive poison. The air and cloud sizzled where it passed. Brother, speed up! Tang San shouted, an alarm ringing in his head. The moment Ye Ming saw the blood mist, he knew exactly who it was, the terrifying Slaughter King. Without Tang San needing to tell him, he channeled his true energy into the wingless bird. Its white bone wings beat faster, increasing their speed. That's the bloody figure who drove away those ferocious beasts at Haotian sect, Ye Ming said. Then, feigning confusion, he muttered, didn't he go after them? How could he be here? This is bad. Ye Ming glanced at Tang San, and then urged the wingless bird onward. Tang San touched his nose, feeling sheepish. The aura of the blood mist was familiar. He was certain this was the Slaughter King from the City of Slaughter. Why was he here? Tang San figured it was because he'd dumped a fairy herb into the river of blood and destroyed the City of Slaughter. The wingless bird was fast, and they were soon flying over the open sea, but the blood mist was relentless, closing in fast. We can't outrun him. Ye Ming frowned. High-altitude combat is a losing game. If the wingless bird gets hurt, we're sitting ducks. Tang San put Xiao Wu in the Rui treasure bag. Standing, he stared at the blood mist behind them, blue silver grass ready in hand. Brother, control this bird and find an island to land on. I'll hold off the Slaughter King. That he glanced down, adding, otherwise, if we crash, Mu Bai and the others are screwed. Ye Ming nodded, eyed a nearby island on the chart, and urged the wingless bird to flee. Suddenly, the blood mist shrank, and countless bats merged into a figure in a blood-red robe. He, finally caught you, you little bastard. You, a lowly worm, dared to destroy the city of slaughter. Even tearing you to shreds wouldn't repay what you've done. How dare you poison the great blood river? What was that poison? Give me the antidote now, or I'll suck your blood dry, break your bones, and boil you for soup. The blood-red wings of the Slaughter King beat, propelling him towards them, his evil eyes fixed on Tang San. With a powerful surge, he was upon them. Tang San looked at the approaching Slaughter King and chuckled. So, the city of slaughter is destroyed? Good. Didn't waste that fairy grass after all. Yeah, it was me who poisoned it. Not really a poison, though. More like a snow swan kiss. Only one effect, stimulation. The Bloody Mary in the city of slaughter contains toxins that subtly affect a person's mind and body. I added that fairy grass, which amplified its effect 1,000 times. Tang San smirked. Seems like my knowledge of medicine is still on point. Guess I can add, destroyer of the city of slaughter, to my resume. That disgusting, evil place shouldn't exist in this world. Ye Ming, listening to their exchange, sighed and furiously channeled his true energy. Tang San really has a death wish. That's his great-grandfather, a powerhouse on the verge of godhood. Even if he's being controlled, we can't take him on. And Tang San just had to provoke him. He looked at the blank area on the chart, thinking, almost there. If Tang San can just stall him a little longer, we'll make it. The Slaughter King, hearing Tang San's words, was about to lose it. Suppressing his rage and bloodlust, he demanded, where's the antidote? Give it to me. Antidote? Tang San frowned, pretending to think. He reached into the 24 bridges under moonlight, pulled out a jade box, and tossed it down, shouting, want the antidote? Go get it yourself. The Slaughter King instantly turned into a streak of blood, diving after the falling box. Seeing the Slaughter King momentarily diverted, Tang San's calm vanished. Brother, is there any way out of this? Ye Ming sighed. He's a monster near the pinnacle of power. Even I can barely stand against him. Looks like we're going to have to make a stand on that island. Tang San frowned, sighed, and nodded. Fine. Brothers, let's give it everything we've got. Let's see what this great Sumera hammer I learned from Dad can do. Looking at a large, whale-shaped island in the distance, Tang San said, land there, brother. We can't hide. It's time to fight. Even without Tang San's prompting, Ye Ming had been aiming for that island. It was exactly where he wanted to be. The Slaughter King opened the jade box, finding it empty. He realized he'd been tricked. Bastard! I'll kill you. His eyes flashed blood red, consumed by an unquenchable rage. Ignoring the injuries he'd sustained earlier, he forced his soul power to surge, crossing the distance and appearing behind Tang San. His blood-red claws lunged towards Tang San's chest. Chapter 87 Invincible Golden Body. Invincible Golden Body. Invincible Golden Body. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tang San jumped back in surprise at the sudden appearance of the Slaughter King. If he used his soul ring skill, Void, now, it would not only damage Xiao Wu's soul, but after he turned intangible, Ye Ming behind him would definitely get hurt. Seeing the bloody claws coming, Tang San made a snap decision, and a red light flashed on his left arm. Invincible Golden Body. Golden light enveloped him, and the 100,000-year soul ring skill gave him a huge sense of security. Clang! The bloody claw struck Tang San, and the massive force knocked him away from the legless bird, but even as he flew through the air, Ye Ming reached out and pulled him back. Tang San casually wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and while the 3 seconds of the invincible golden body lasted, he activated the blue-silver cage to restrain the Slaughter King. But even though Tang San's blue-silver grass had been strengthened and evolved into the blue-silver emperor, it still wasn't tough enough to hold the Slaughter King. With a whoosh, the Slaughter King broke free from the cage and attacked Tang San again. Even though the Slaughter King was consumed by the desire to kill, he still wanted to get the antidote from Tang San to save Slaughter City. He was holding back some of his strength in his attacks. For those 3 breaths, Tang San barely withstood the Slaughter King's assault, relying on the effect of the invincible golden body. Boom. Just then, the legless bird crashed hard into the island below, and the Dragon Abyss boat split in 2. Dai Mubai and the others scrambled out of the wreckage, only to see Ye Ming and Tang San fighting the Slaughter King above. They tried to join the battle, but the shockwaves from the fight threw them to the edge of the island. It was clear that Ye Ming and Tang San were being overwhelmed by the Slaughter King. Tang San could only use the invincible golden body 3 times a day. The moment the legless bird landed, he'd used the invincible golden body for the 2nd time to withstand the Slaughter King's attack. Even though the skill was called invincibility, it only provided short-term absolute defense. In fact, the defensive effect was limited. If the Slaughter King hadn't been injured and hadn't been holding back to capture Tang San alive for the antidote, he would have broken through Tang San's defenses long ago. Seeing the bloody sword in the Slaughter King's hand unleashing waves of sword energy, Tang San smiled wryly and activated the invincible golden body again. Although his 6th soul skill, Nothingness, could temporarily dematerialize his body and dodge physical attacks, it couldn't defend against energy attacks like this, and it would harm Xiao Wu's soul. Golden light flickered again, and Tang San relied on this 3rd use of the invincible golden body to last another 3 breaths. Just then, Ye Ming's dark golden clear sky hammer appeared in his hand. Seeing the invincible golden body's effect fading, he acted without hesitation. Big Sumra hammer, that the soul power in his body poured into the clear sky hammer, and the half-human high hammer began to expand rapidly. The clear sky hammer grew from half a man tall to as big as a mountain in an instant. Tang San, stunned, quickly retreated. The Slaughter King saw the massive clear sky hammer and looked confused. "Hurry, bro. Now's your chance." Tang San, with his sharp eyes, could tell that something was wrong with the Slaughter King and quickly shouted a warning. Ye Ming's timing was perfect. Holding the mountain-like Haotian hammer, he slammed it into the island below. The huge clear sky hammer crashed down on the Slaughter King. The Slaughter King, still dazed, suddenly snapped to his senses. The murderous look in his eyes vanished, and in a flash of blood, he escaped the area of the great Sumra hammer. Damn! Too slow. Tang San smacked his chest in frustration. He felt this was their strongest move. If this couldn't hurt the Slaughter King, how could they stop him? But Ye Ming didn't look frustrated. He looked, almost crazed. The thought struck Tang San, confusing him but also giving him a glimmer of hope. "If you've got another plan, use it now," he yelled. "Or we're done for." That if he could live, he didn't want to die. He'd just gotten engaged to Xiao Wu, he couldn't die now. Ye Ming heard Tang San shout and smiled. "The solution's right under your feet." "Under my feet?" Tang San looked down, puzzled. Before he could see anything, the air around him twisted. A violent jolt came from below, along with a deafening roar, throwing him and Ye Ming into the air. The island shattered completely under the blow of the big Sumra hammer, and the sea erupted. A huge waterspout shot into the sky, engulfing Ye Ming, Tang San, and the Slaughter King. Then, a body as big as a small island rose from the shattered island. All the surrounding water shimmered with a thick layer of blue light. It was as if the sky was the ground, and the sea had become a blue sky. A low roar rippled through the water. Ye Ming and Tang San spun in the waterspout, then were hit by the sound wave and fell into a daze. The enormous body rising from the sea was hundreds of meters long, sapphire blue, with 2 enormous eyes. Its left eye was a huge black hole, obviously blind. The remaining right eye pierced the air with a cold gaze. Staring at the Slaughter King as he escaped the waterspout, it had been sleeping peacefully, but these humans had invaded its territory, smashing and destroying everything. There was a huge bump on its forehead, where it had been struck. As the sole beast overlord of these waters, close to an ultimate beast, it couldn't endure such humiliation. With a slight movement, a huge tail rose from behind, twisted with blue light, and crashed down on the sea. Trillions of water droplets shot into the sky, each like a sharp arrow, aimed at the Slaughter King. What is that? The Slaughter King was shocked. He felt a threat from this sea soul beast, a threat on par with the beast Emperor Tian. The blood-colored sword appeared in his hand, and he swung it repeatedly, unleashing waves of blood-colored sword energy to destroy the barrage of water. The water curtain shattered, and the terrifying demon whale seemed enraged. A ball of blue light over 100 meters in diameter formed at the front of its mountain-like back. The terrifying light condensed for a moment, then blasted toward the Slaughter King. Buzz! The Slaughter King's face changed drastically. The blood-colored sword trembled, warning him that he couldn't win. He glared at the two tiny figures blown away by the water curtain, then unleashed a shocking sword, his body glowing with blood-red light. The sword energy flew towards the blue light, but the Slaughter King didn't even look back. He urged the blood light to carry him far across the sea. He was seriously injured by Emperor Tian. If he fought this giant whale, he would lose. You two bastards, I'll kill you. I'll drain your blood. Boom. The blue light collided with the blood-red sword, creating a massive explosion that sent Ye Ming and Tang San flying 1,000 meters. Ye Ming's Baoyuan Ishangu was activated to the max, boosting his defense as much as possible. His body floated in the sea, and a faint smile appeared on his face. He'd finally awakened the deep-sea demon whale king. He looked up at Tang San, his eyes dim. Tang San felt pain as sharp as a knife cutting his skin. If this keeps up, I'm dead. Xiao Wu, I'm sorry, but I have to do this to save our future. Sixth soul skill, Nothingness. A flash of blood-red light, and his body turned intangible, dodging the water. The Slaughter King had fled, and the enraged deep-sea demon whale king turned its gaze to Ye Ming and Tang San. Chapter 88 Nothingness. Nothingness. See God's regret. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The deep-sea demon whale king had absolute control over the ocean around them. He knew exactly where the nuisances were. He swung his massive tail, sending a towering wall of water crashing down, like a raging tornado aimed directly at Ye Ming and Tang San. Tang San, still under the effects of his invincibility skill, forced his body toward Ye Ming, who had been hammered by the wave. He could see the moon-colored ribbon on Ye Ming's body was completely shredded. Ye Ming coughed up blood that mixed with the seawater, falling unconscious and being swept away. Tang San realized that no matter how strong Ye Ming's offensive abilities were, his defenses weren't up to par. Having already pushed his great Sumera hammer to its limit, Tang San's own soul power was almost depleted. Being slammed by the deep-sea demon whale king's attack left him helpless. Now, he watched Ye Ming drift away, knowing he was the only one who could save him. Blue-silver emperor vines erupted from Tang San's body, snaking through the water to propel him toward Ye Ming. Just as the vines were about to reach Ye Ming, another wave crashed through, pulling Ye Ming further away. While Tang San dodged the wave using his invincibility, he completely lost sight of Ye Ming. Without Ye Ming's strength, Tang San didn't believe they could survive this fight. Countless tons of water crashed down. The deep-sea demon whale king, glowing with blue light, controlled the ocean as he pleased. The island was gone, leaving only the terrifying deep-sea demon whale king. Ye Ming was nowhere to be seen. Tang San had no idea whether Dai Mubai and the others were even alive. Buzz! The deep-sea demon whale king shuddered, and that strange warping sensation spread through the area again. Tang San knew it was the power of the domain. The moment his invincibility wore off, he unleashed his killing god domain, briefly taking control within the deep-sea demon whale king's territory. Glaring at the massive deep-sea demon whale king below, Tang San dove down, aiming directly for the monster's remaining eye. He knew he had to rely on himself to get through this. The deep-sea demon whale king's domain was vast, and its aura locked onto Tang San. He knew the whale wouldn't give up until he was destroyed. His only option was a desperate fight. Boom! The purple demon eye beam slammed into the deep-sea demon whale king's right eye, causing only a ripple on its shimmering blue shield. Even with his strongest spiritual attack, Tang San only made the beast blink, but that was enough to enrage the deep-sea demon whale king. Behind him, a black void crackled with blue energy, readying another deadly blast. Tang San instantly used Xiao Wu's soul bone skill for an ultra-long distance teleport. He reappeared on the deep-sea demon whale king's back, right above the void crack. The 8 spider lances shot out from his back, plunging into the monster's flesh around the void. The deep-sea demon whale king tried to shake Tang San off, but Tang San went invincible again. He knew the skill drained Xiao Wu's power, but he had no other choice. The 8 spider lances pulsed with red light as they sank into the deep-sea demon whale king, injecting poison and greedily devouring everything they could. Come on, you bastard. Even if I die, I'm taking some of your life force. For my brother, for Mu Bai, for everyone. Tang San's eyes burned with rage. Ignoring his body's limits, he pushed all his Shentian Gong power into the 8 spider lances, maximizing their draining ability. His invincibility wouldn't last long, but every extra second gave Dai Mubai and Ye Ming a chance to survive. Tang San's actions sent the deep-sea demon whale king into a frenzy. For millennia, no one had dared challenge him like this. Even the king of slaughter hadn't dared to attack him in the deep sea. But the burning pain from the neurotoxin and the draining of his life force pushed him over the edge. A ring of solid-looking blue light exploded from his back, sending a shockwave through the ocean. Instantly, 2 islands hundreds of miles away cracked from the force, the ocean boiled, and the surrounding water surged into the sky. The sky turned crystal blue, then shattered in an instant. Dai Mubai, Oscar, and the others, already battered and thrown to the edge of the battle, watched the fight in horror. The shockwave from the deep-sea demon whale king hurled them even further away, becoming tiny specks disappearing into the distance. On the other side, 1,000 meters from the deep-sea demon whale king, Ye Ming floated on his back. The defenses of his Baoyuan neon clothes goo and white jade goo maxed out, thanks to the copper skin, iron bone goo and diamond tendon goo. His body was unbelievably tough. With all those defenses, the deep-sea demon whale king's attack barely scratched him. He casually watched Tang San fighting the deep-sea demon whale king from afar. Poseidon, this should weaken your lingering spirit quite a bit. Invincibility made you immune to physical attacks and reduced energy damage by 50%. The water the deep-sea demon whale king controlled was both. While the invincibility skill protected Tang San from the physical force, the sheer pressure of the waves had knocked him unconscious. To the deep-sea demon whale king, Tang San and Ye Ming were just insects. But this insect had dared to bite him and steal his energy, and it enraged the old beast. Seeing Tang San disappear into the water, the red light in the deep-sea demon whale king's eye faded. He shifted his body, enjoying the falling water. To Tang San, it was deadly, but to him, it was nothing. He turned to find the other insect. No one would disrespect him and live, but as the deep-sea demon whale king turned to hunt Ye Ming, he froze. He looked back into the air, his massive body twitching. The warping sensation returned, and the deep-sea demon whale king unleashed his domain again. In the sky above his head, Tang San, who should have been crushed, floated in the air. A blue, 3-dimensional triangle enveloped him. It shone brightly against the dark sky. For some reason, the sight of the triangle calmed the deep-sea demon whale king. His remaining eye burned with hatred, but also a hint of fear. The blue light intensified, and a beam shot from the peak of the triangle, expanding into a towering, 100-meter-tall shadow. The shadow was blurry, barely resembling a human figure. Seen through it, the dark sky was clearer, and the stars shone brightly. Evil beast, an old, deep voice echoed from the sky, seeming to press down from above. The distorted domain vanished as the blue shadow appeared, turning into streams of light that flowed into the shadow, making it more solid. Woo! The deep-sea demon whale king groaned. As he saw the shadow, he slowly retreated. The ocean calmed, becoming as smooth as glass. Have you forgotten the lesson from 20,000 years ago? Are you planning to lose your other eye as well? The old voice spoke again, and although the air seemed clear, the deep-sea demon whale felt immense pressure. It didn't come from the air, but the sea. The water, which he had controlled, suddenly became a cage, trapping him. Woo! The deep-sea demon whale roared in defiance, and blue spots appeared on his body like fish scales. His body was changing rapidly. What? Do you think evolving into a dragon and breaking the 100,000-year barrier will let you defy me? That the blue shadow swayed slightly, causing the entire ocean to ripple. Chapter 89 Ye Ming, Be My Husband. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Ye Ming's body, adrift until now, suddenly stopped. He squinted at the blurry figure in the sky, his heart pounding. Just a remnant of his power can suppress the entire sea. Even the deep-sea demon whale king, after nearly 1,000,000 years, wouldn't dare challenge him. Ye Ming knew Poseidon had blinded the whale king thousands of years ago, causing lasting psychological damage. Even though that figure was only a remnant of Poseidon, the whale king might still lose if it attacked. Reputation is everything. The beating it took millennia ago was burned into its memory. Before ascending to godhood, it wouldn't even consider opposing Poseidon. If this amulet doesn't break, Tang San will be invincible. Ye Ming sighed inwardly. How does this kid attract both Poseidon and the god of Azura? That even as he thought this, his eyes were fixed on the distance. Above, Poseidon's residual power radiated terrifying pressure. Then the figure spoke, and a crushing sensation squeezed the whale king, making it roar in agony. The hatred in its eye faded, replaced by fear. It seemed to relive the sight of Poseidon, trident in hand, dominating the endless sea. I remember your long, arduous cultivation. I'll spare you again. Get out. That the ancient voice resonated with unquestionable authority, and the sea sprang back to life. The deep-sea demon whale king's massive body sank immediately, its buzzing exhalations filled with relief. The sea calmed, the whale king vanished, leaving only the huge figure in mid-air, the blue triangle raised to its chest, and the unconscious Tang San within. 20,000 years. I hope this choice won't disappoint me. And you, it's been 20,000 years as well. I never expected you to become a dragon, though it's a pity my power. The sighing voice trailed off, more a soliloquy than anything else. The figure abruptly vanished, seeming to glance at Ye Ming floating on the water, then merged into the blue light triangle, disappearing between Tang San's eyebrows. Tang San's body, now without the blue light support, drifted on the waves. Seeing the sea completely calm, the whale king and Poseidon's remnant gone, Ye Ming activated his thunder wing goo and flew to Tang San. He slung the unconscious Tang San over his shoulders and flew off. The sea stretched endlessly, and Ye Ming had no choice but to fly in a straight line. After a full day, he spotted an island. Let's see if anyone's there, Ye Ming muttered. Need to figure out where we are. He flew towards the island with Tang San. Purple Pearl Island sat at the crossroads of Poseidon Island and the Demon Whale Sea. Over 3,000 pirates lived there, 1,500 of them fighters, including 200 soul masters. The leader, Zhizhenju, was a level 68 soul emperor, the strongest of them all. Purple Pearl Island was a large village, every wooden house marked by 2 large purple lanterns. Dai Mubai, Oscar, Ma Hongjun, Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zhuqing, and Bai Qinxiang were all chained to pillars in front of the largest house. The men's clothes were tattered, their health clearly poor. Ning Rongrong, Zhu Zhuqing, and Bai Qinxiang, on the other hand, wore red wedding gowns, as if they were about to be married. A woman with a striking figure, appearing to be in her late 20s, stood before them. Her short, neat purple hair framed an exceptionally beautiful face, and her large purple eyes gazed at Ning Rongrong and the others. Behind her, a group of pirates watched the scene, excited. The purple-haired woman lifted Ning Rongrong's chin. No one I, Purple Pearl, once ever escapes, she said with a smile. Little girl, what are you thinking? Marry me, and I'll let your friends go. Ning Rongrong weakly raised her head, glared at Purple Pearl, and scoffed. You think you're all that? I suggest you let us go now. Otherwise, when my third brother and Ye Ming get here, you're gonna have a bad time. What a trash pirate group. Only you, the Soul Emperor, are worth looking at. Please, Ye Ming could take you down with one punch. He likes breaking chests more than anything. Although tied up, Ning Rongrong's sharp tongue was still in full effect. Zhizhenju's face flushed as she spoke, her chest heaving. We'll see if I'm all that soon enough. She chuckled, stroking Ning Rongrong's face. I hate waste. I eat every grain in my bowl. How dare you? Ning Rongrong arched an eyebrow, glaring at Zizhenju. Ha ha ha. Purple Pearl laughed, turning to the pirates behind her. She asked if I dare. Do you think I dare? That the pirates licked their lips, leering. We'll do anything you say, Captain. Good. Line up in the back, then. Zizhenju laughed loudly, reaching out to tear Ning Rongrong's clothes. The other's eyes blazed with fury. Oscar, already weak, rattled his chains, cursing Zizhenju. You stinking bitch. If you touch Rongrong, I'll kill you. His eyes were bloodshot. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun felt the same. Seeing the woman they loved about to be violated felt like a knife twisting in their hearts. Weakened by the earlier shockwaves and a day of exposure, they lacked the strength to break free. Hatred and rage consumed them. At that moment, their desire for power reached its peak, but Zizhenju, leader of the biggest pirate group in the sea, wasn't easily intimidated. In this sea, no passing noble escaped her pirate group. Rip! Zizhenju tore a large hole in Ning Rongrong's red wedding gown, revealing her bare breasts. Zizhenju pinched one with disgust. You think I don't dare? You think you're all that? No. Oscar shook his chains, his lips bleeding. Oh oh. The pirates cheered, waving their weapons. Just as Zizhenju moved to continue, countless moon-colored ribbons fell from the sky, shrouding Ning Rongrong and the others. Ye Ming, carrying Tang San, descended slowly. Oscar and the others' eyes lit up. Ye Ming, save Rongrong. They cried. Zizhenju tensed, instantly summoning her 6 soul rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 2 black. Turning, she saw Ye Ming carrying Tang San. Approaching, she stared at Ye Ming, stunned. He had a calm face, his eyes like deep pools, as if nothing could stir him. His exposed skin glowed with bronze light in the sun, his handsomeness and strength obvious. Even with her aversion to men, Zizhenju's heart skipped a beat. But she recovered quickly, her long combat experience kicking in. Her body twisted, becoming almost boneless, her eyes turning vacant. A layer of gray-blue scales appeared on her skin. Her soul was a sea snake, perfectly suited to the sea. Ye Ming seemed oblivious. He landed in front of Dai Mubai and the others and placed Tang San gently beside them. Ignoring Zizhenju, he grabbed the chains binding Dai Mubai and tore them apart. The weakened Dai Mubai slumped forward. Ye Ming caught him, helping him against the pillar. Be careful. Dai Mubai gasped. Zizhenju, enraged by Ye Ming's indifference, struck with a sharp palm towards his head. Sensing the wind behind him, Ye Ming whirled, seized her attacking hand, and kicked out. Bang, star. Zizhenju flew backward, crashing into the pirates. Unfazed, Ye Ming continued, grabbing and breaking the chains on Oscar and the others, freeing them one by one. Enraged, the pirates summoned their souls and rushed to attack. Zizhenju rose and stopped them, her purple eyes fixed on Ye Ming. A new light shining in them, she flicked her tongue, licked her lips, and asked, Your name's Ye Ming, right? Be my husband. Chapter 90 Kill with One Punch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing that, Ye Ming stopped dead in his tracks. Turning to face Purple Pearl, she shifted her weight, showing off her pretty face and killer curves. Her eyes locked on Ye Ming, burning with desire. This dominant guy was setting off fireworks in her soul. So, Ye Ming, wanna be my husband? The whole Purple Pearl pirate crew comes with the deal. Me too, I'm all yours. Ye Ming's brow furrowed, and the image of a tyrant bear flashed behind him, activating his goo. In a heartbeat, he was in Purple Pearl's face. Bang! One punch, and a gaping hole appeared right in her chest. Her eyes went wide, and she looked down in disbelief at the bloody mess. You. Ye Ming pulled his hand back, and she crumpled to the ground. The silence in the room was deafening. The pirates stared at their fallen leader, then at the monster standing before them, completely lost. Ye Ming finally broke the silence, the first words he'd spoken since arriving. Anyone who tries to run, dies. That he stomped his foot, and with a deafening crash, cracks spiderwebbed across the floor for yards. That one kick terrified the pirates. Ye Ming turned to check on Oscar and the others. As for Purple Pearl, what she'd just tried to pull on Ning Rongrong and the others had already earned her a death wish from Oscar's crew. Once they were back on their feet, they'd have ripped her apart, if Ye Ming hadn't shown up when he did. Who knew what would have happened to Ning Rongrong and the girls? They were mortal enemies now, and she had the nerve to make that offer, severing any chance of reconciliation with Oscar and the gang. Ye Ming had worked too hard to build that bond to let some woman mess it up. Dai Mubai and the others were speechless, watching the whole thing unfold. They never expected Ye Ming to ice the Pirate Queen before they could even open their mouths. Oscar, steadying himself against a post, stood up and said to Ye Ming, his face serious, "Bro, thanks." Ye Ming grabbed a piece of clothing from his storage and tossed it to him. "We're brothers, man. No need for that." Oscar's eyes burned with emotion, and in that moment, he truly accepted Ye Ming as one of his own. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun, still shaky, stood up and each gave Ye Ming a weak punch on the arm. They were too weak to put any force behind it, but the gesture was there. They were moved by Ye Ming's actions. If he hadn't intervened, Zhu Zhuqing and Bai Qinxiang would have been violated right in front of them, a fate worse than death. 2 days flew by. After some RR on Purple Pearl Island, everyone was back in fighting shape. The large ship was cutting through the waves, its mast tall, its purple sails billowing. This was the infamous Purple Pearl, former flagship of the Purple Pearl Pirates. After Ye Ming took out Purple Pearl, he promoted her second-in-command and put him in charge of sailing the ship to Sea God Island. Inside the cabin, Tang San, still looking a little pale, listened to the stories, a complex expression on his face. He looked at Ye Ming. "Bro, you saved me again." "I really." Ye Ming held up a hand to stop him. "Third brother, we're brothers, why are you still being so formal? Wouldn't you do the same for me?" Tang San nodded firmly. He admitted, a touch of fear in his voice, "I wasn't thinking straight back then. All I wanted to do was absorb the life force of that crazy beast to buy us some time. Honestly, I'm still shocked I made it." Ye Ming smiled. "Maybe it was the sea god looking out for you." "Sea god?" Tang San shook his head. "Maybe." He sighed. "This whole mess leveled me up twice, all the way to 68. But if I had the choice, I'd skip that ride." Ma Hongjun and the others nodded in agreement. The sheer terror of the deep-sea demon whale king and the king of slaughter had been overwhelming. They were only on the fringe of the battle, and it had knocked them unconscious, defenseless. Tang San and Ye Ming surviving that. Maybe it was divine intervention. Over the past few days, Tang San had absorbed the soul power and life force from the 8 spider lances, boosting his own power 2 levels. The rest of the Shrek's 7 devils, except for Xiao Wu, also gained about half a level. The pressure had even pushed Ma Hongjun to level 60, needing only one more soul ring to become a soul emperor. He was the last of the 7 devils to reach that milestone. As for Ye Ming, his soul power was still stuck at level 70, waiting for that soul ring to unlock his potential. Now that they were close to Poseidon Island, the God-given soul ring he'd been dreaming of was finally within reach. All that pressure from the King of Slaughter and the deep-sea demon whale king hadn't increased his soul level, but it had caused a breakthrough in his Gu Master cultivation. His 2 apertures had leveled up, now at the intermediate stage of rank 4. 98% of his true essence was full, more than enough for most fights. With the steady flow of the 4th revolution Heavenly Yuan Baojunlian, Ye Ming never really ran low on true energy. "Boom!" The pirate second-in-command, sounding a little too eager, called out from outside the door. "Gentlemen, dinner's ready. I'll bring it right in." After getting the go-ahead, the new pirate leader walked in, carrying a food box. He carefully set the food down, then stood at attention. "Gentlemen, this ship's fast. We should reach Poseidon Island in 2 days, tops. But, gentlemen." He looked embarrassed. "I can't actually take you to the island. I can only get you close. You'll have to get there yourselves." "Huh?" Dai Mubai's eyes narrowed. "You trying to bail?" The new captain waved his hands frantically. "Gentlemen, the waters around Poseidon Island are crawling with sea soul beasts. Any ship that gets close is shark bait. Besides, Poseidon Island is sacred ground to all sea folk. I wouldn't dare disrespect His Holiness." His face showed genuine fear. "From what I hear, there are at least 300,000-year soul beasts in those waters. And 100,000-year beast guards Poseidon Island itself. It used to be Poseidon's own mount, and it's second in strength only to the deep-sea demon whale king, that the second-in-command was sweating bullets. His belief in and fear of that 100,000-year beast gave him the courage to spill the beans to these killers. Ye Ming nodded. Just drop us near Poseidon Island. As long as we can see it, you've done your job. From then on, the Purple Pearl pirates are yours. The second-in-command's face lit up. He dropped to his knees and bowed his head to the ground. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That he backed out carefully, closed the door, and left. Dai Mubai and the others took it all in stride. Tang San had always been the team's core. Even if Ye Ming was a powerhouse, they usually followed Tang San's lead, but after everything that had happened, Ye Ming had started taking the reins. Even Tang San seemed to accept it. Ma Hongjun, already drooling over the fragrant seafood in the food box, turned to Ye Ming. Bro, chow time. Dai Mubai slapped Ma Hongjun on the head. Fatty, you ain't worried about getting poisoned by these guys. For the past 2 days, they've been eating the rations from their soul guides. With Ye Ming icing Purple Pearl, they couldn't be sure these pirates weren't plotting revenge. Tang San leaned forward, took a sniff, and gave the all clear. It's not poisoned. We can eat it. Only a few people on Earth could brew a poison that would slip past him, and they weren't on this boat. Not even poisoned DouluoDalu boat could pull that off. Eat up, they won't risk poisoning us, Ye Ming said with a smile. Pirates are just people. They want strength, power, and money. I took out Purple Pearl and handed this guy the keys. He gets to run a crew of 3,000 pirates and be the king of his own little world. He should be thanking me. Poseidon Island's like Mecca to them. We landlubbers have got next to no chance of surviving there. That's why they're so happy to drop us off. Ye Ming shook his head. They already see us as dead men walking, so why bother? Hearing that, Dai Mubai and the others realized how serious the situation was. Only Oscar and Tang San gave Ye Ming a second look. Ma Hongjun, already gnawing on a fish, chimed in. Bro, why don't we just off these guys? Save some trouble down the road. Do the world a favor, too. He put down the fish and made a throat-slitting gesture. We're about to set foot on Poseidon Island. We can't make any unnecessary waves. Ye Ming stopped him. Those soul masters on Poseidon Island are a xenophobic bunch. Let's not tick them off before we even get there. The others nodded, more and more convinced by Ye Ming's reasoning. The next 2 days of sailing were smooth. Finally, the Purple Pearl arrived just outside Poseidon Island.